Last session, after dealing with Rickwick, the little spy mage that they had fought previously, by way of having Terrence punt him off to some place unknown to the rest of the group, um, they teleported back into Caverton in an effort to do something about the warden, and by extension, Locke's father, who was still in prison. And things went surprisingly well with a lot of really good rolls. And by the end of it, the warden had run off, parkoured up onto the top of the roofs, and then promptly passed out because of the magical glyph that Norro had placed on him. And the group had dealt with the one Loxodon guard that was left by way of Tasha's hideous laughter and trapping him in a closet. And
that means he'll have to come out of the closet to give chase.
Yes,
ending the session.
Ending the session with them hearing the table that they had placed in front of the closet door sliding across the floor. And now the group is, well, probably running from said person. And they also they also were able to forge a document to hopefully get Fredrick, Locke's father, out of prison. Or at the least I think that was the idea. With a little help from both Cad and Valzita, the female dragonborn that was working with the warden as a sort of secretary, as well as a friend of Cad's. The two forged a document to hopefully release Fredrick from prison, and we ended the session with them running because the Loxodon was making his way outside of the closet that you guys had dropped him in, and he is not a happy Loxodon.
So he won't know that we forged that document. So what we should probably do is just focus on losing him.
Let's go fight Solomon.
Disappear into the streets, and then once things, I don't know, kind of at a loss here, because
let's go fight Solomon.
If we don't go now to get Fredrick out, then they're gonna know something's up when suddenly word comes from the warden, who just like collapsed on a rooftop and is currently unconscious and being questioned.
Yes.
For like disobeying. So we need to do it now, but at the same time, if that gets interrupted, we're gonna be in for a world of hurt. So we kinda expertly schemed ourselves into a horrible situation.
Yes, we did.
All right.
Let's go find Solomon.
Solum, the other Loxodon guard.
Yes.
The question is, how are you going to do that?
First, we go by the tavern where we first met him.
So you're now going to be. Also, bear in mind, wasn't this
and
in
hide
like
in alleyways and just watch, just be like, he's
wasn't
going to show up eventually.
Wasn't this in like the middle of the day?
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah,
he's probably still on duty.
We go over to that area. We hide in alleys. Find a couple of barrels.
Okay. So if you guys are going to duck into an alley and hide, roll me some stealth checks.
I mean,
this is just planning. I didn't say that we're actually doing it. It's up to the group as well.
Right.
Any ideas?
Well, I like that in terms of like finding Solum to help out, but I still think we should probably jump on the Fredrick thing sooner rather than later. And if we want to do that, the best one to send would be Cad, because he has his magic hat that can make him look like fucking anything.
Yes.
So he could disguise.
But he can't disguise. That's why I'm saying let's go find an actual guard that we're kind of okay with, I think.
Hey, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
So was I wasn't the low tier guard. Was I the higher tier guard?
You were the you were trained but you were never given an official title of the higher ranking Loxodon guard, but you weren't the top tier, so you were like middle tier.
So are there 3 tiers of the guard then?
There are the Loxodon guards, and then the everybody else guards, and because the Loxodons are on a higher tier, but the Loxodons themselves have 2 tiers, so there are technically 3.
Okay. So
And of course, within each of those tiers, there's like an independent ranking system, because you got like your captain, and then like
Yeah,
your
of
second in
course.
command, and then your lieutenants, and blah blah.
So would I know how many people would be in that middle class, that higher class that I was to be a part of?
Probably. You would know. It wasn't super. I mean, you were in prison for how long did we say?
It was a good long while.
Yeah. So you would know how many how many were a part of that tier from before you were put in prison, but you wouldn't have any idea if people had moved up or moved out or whatever like that.
Right.
But yeah, you.
Can I ask you for a general idea of approximately how many people were in that rank the last time I was aware?
Yeah, we'll say about. I'll say like times 10 my number, so we'll put like 300 guards for this whole city. And then
300 total?
300 total, and then
And that's the bottom tier.
yeah.
So I would recommend a 1 to 5 if you don't have an idea. 1/5. So like 60 higher people over the 300, and then like 12 high over the 60 over the 300.
And then it gets down to maybe like a 3-4 generals, and then a high commander,
Alrighty.
and then the king.
Yeah, that works.
The main reason I was wondering was the more that there would be at the rank, the easier I could be one that they've never seen instead of trying to impersonate a specific one.
Which would make it relatively easy for him to slip in and get that out.
Because I sound like a Loxodon. I look like a Loxodon. I could change some of my features to not look like that one Loxodon. Basically, I could shorten my ears and blend right in. And
which actually I don't know if that's something that we presented in amongst your in specifically, but of the Loxodons that you guys have seen, Solum included, Cad's ears are bigger than most Loxodon ears that you've seen.
I have big floppy ears. Everyone else has short, dainty elephant ears. They're still big, but mine are much
Dumbo!
bigger.
If you start flapping those things like wings and flying, I'm going to be all kinds of conflicted.
So when the derpy character has a fly land on their face and they like punch themselves in the face and the fly gets away safely, I would just sit there and shake my head sideways and flap my face with my ears.
Oh.
That's a great mental image.
Thank you.
Thank you. I needed that. I absolutely 100% needed that image in my life right now.
All right.
Christ, this cup isn't deep enough.
It was great.
Yes,
Look, I'm sorry. Fair warning to the audience. I slept like shit last night, so I'm running on fumes here. That's why I was drinking chocolate chips.
Drinking chocolate chips?
Yeah, I filled the cup with chocolate chips and I drank them.
Now, if you drink some hot, you'll have hot chocolate.
Anyway,
Kenneth, you need to be stopped.
Anyway, so
epic reveal, I'm the final boss.
Top 10 anime betrayal.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm assuming that you guys sort of plan whatever it is that you decide to plan rather quickly. So
We're probably
Yeah,
just
we're basically
babbling in
just
his
running through the streets yelling at each other. I'm guessing is what's happening.
I mean, unless somebody comes up with an actual plan to do stuff with Oak and Oak and Young's tactic would be, at the very least, to take to the alleyways and things to try to get away from this potential guard before he makes his way out here. Which I'm going to give you guys ample time to do that. So
right. First order business: lose the trail of the guard.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that stealth check you were having us do earlier to try and slip away?
Yes, that seems reasonable.
Can we get advantage because of the head start?
This is sort of a group stealth, and I
get advantage because of my cloak. So.
Yeah, you get advantage anyway because of your cloak. Yeah, this is just sort of a broad scope stealth. If enough of you roll decently well, you're going to do all right. So no advantage required, I don't think.
15 from me then.
Then, me or Mr. Cowl person.
I was the first one to roll it. I rolled it right when you said to.
I know. I'm talking about Oak. Ah!
Oh no.
Hey guys, we should be quiet.
Okay, well,
Oh dear.
Ori trips, falls on his face, and in so doing somehow slips some ancient artifact from Silver's backstory into her back pocket without her noticing.
What?
ha ha ha.
Oh.
Well, on a crit fail, I was going to go more Murphy's Law and say that steps on a loud can, hurts his foot, reels bouncing pogo-legged into a guard.
No.
Don't give the dungeon master ideas!
Okay.
We're trying to live here, you dumbass!
Alright, so with Oak's role in there, some of you had to sort of pick up the slack to keep him going. I'm reasonably speaking, he sort of trips. He's not proficient in running quickly through cities. So and that's mostly Yang, who's relatively close to him as you're going around, but you do make your way into a back alley somewhere. Don't worry about moving your tokens on the board. I just have them here. Because this board is big enough in like units of measure, but it's not proportionate in anything else. Otherwise, these buildings would be very small. Well, I guess they wouldn't be if the whole map is proportionate. Hold on. Wait a minute. You just can't move on it proportionately is the issue. Yeah. Anyway, so, let me give him the Loxodon that is chasing you a perception roll thingy.
I
hey.
don't like that number.
Alright. So, you make your way into a back alley, off near where the warden's house is, and you're slowly but surely you're trying to make your way to get through, and the Loxodon guard still is he's keeping pace with you, and he's still enraged to the point where he's not worried about trying to call for help, and he's just sort of chasing after you guys. So he's still got you. Not a good idea to stop your running to try to get away. Perhaps a different tactic, or continuing to run.
See, I'm pretty sure I used up all my spell slots last time, so...
Oh,
Go.
right. So how far behind us is he?
You made it a good distance away, so if you wanted to cast something, what's the range on? You would probably have to hold back from the rest of the group to try to cast a spell, whoever does. And it's between Oak and Riven at this or Silver at this point, because Locke's out of spells.
That's why I'm asking, how far is he behind us?
behind the rest of you, considering I'm just going to say you're still running. He's probably 60, 90 feet away.
I'm gonna have to burn 2 spell slots.
Ooh. I have a
But yeah.
scroll of entangle.
That
The
would
thing
give
is,
us
can it
time to
reach
get
90
away.
feet?
Its range is 90 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll give that a shot, and then if not, I'll do what I need to do.
All right. So then, when we're particularly deep in the alleys, I will pull out the scroll, blabber at myself for a second as I'm pulling it open, and cast Entangle. And the description reads, grasping weeds and vines sprout from the ground in a 20-foot square, starting from a point within range. For the duration, which is concentration up to 1 minute, these plants turn the ground in the area into difficult terrain. A creature in the area, when you cast a spell, must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained by the entangling plants until the spell ends. A creature restrained by the plants can use its action to make a strength check against your spell save DC. On a success, it frees itself. So there's a chance for failure here. And because of the scroll, I only get the 1 cast, but fuck it. It's worth a shot. So I'll burn that. And yeah, my spell save DC is 14. So he's got to roll higher than that with a strength save.
Strength save, you said 14?
Yep, DC 14. Roll shit.
Double check proficiencies. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll low.
Damn
it.
Nope.
Did that work, Locke?
Nope. Big angry elephant is still big, angry, and running right at us.
Okay, you guys go find the guard that helped us. I will find you when I can. Misty step backwards.
Okay.
That's my bonus action. The full 30 feet.
So you're Misty stepping
So
towards
basically-
him?
Yes.
Okay.
And using my... Okay, it is a bonus action. But can I cast 2 spells? Oh, wait. Shoot, I don't have that yet. I'm only a level 1 sorcerer. Never mind. So
Weird.
am I allowed to call a bonus action spell and also do another spell, or should I, or can I only do a cantrip after I cast a spell?
If you do, we can assume, you're Misty stepping towards him. He was 90 feet away. That goes up to 30 feet away. He has a 30-foot movement.
Okay, so he's still gonna end up 30 feet away from me, which is fine.
Yes. You
So
can
I can
you can
cast
have another
again.
turn to cast a thing.
Okay, because if I recall right, it's like you can only cast like a leveled spell and then a cantrip.
Yes, and I'm going to
Okay.
use that logic. But what it means is if your spell doesn't work and your spell doesn't stop him, he is going to get a chance to grapple
Catch up
you,
to
because
me.
that's what he's going to do to you.
Well, yeah, because he'll have used up his 30 feet of movement, because I've stopped, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Old person.
I see that.
He needs
He
to
is
make
not
a wisdom
proficient in
saving
that.
throw.
What's the saving throw? Or what's the number?
It's the DC is 15. Yep, I'm about to get hit with a tank.
You are.
Y'all keep running, I'll be fine.
Press
All
X
right.
to doubt.
So,
Please have faith.
if you would, for me, Silver, roll depending on how you want to try to get out of his grapple when he's going to charge to hit you, roll for me athletics or acrobatics.
Oh, it's gonna be athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's contesting athletics, I guess.
Yep.
Yay! I'm grappled.
Yep.
Oh, that's fine.
Just because we rolled really well last time doesn't mean it's fair for you to practice for 2 weeks.
No, that's not how that works. Alright.
That's fine.
So, he is, got you grappled and is basically got you pinned against, like, the, wall of one of the alleyways. And for sake of chase motif, I'm just going to say that, you know, we're not going to bother to roll specifics on initiative, and he is, and it would be your turn to deal with his thing, and it's
yeah,
going to
it would be my turn.
Yeah,
So,
it would be back and forth between you two.
Just let me look at something real quick, just to double check.
Meanwhile, everybody else has run off, I'm assuming. Has everyone else run off?
Yeah.
Reluctantly, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna sit here and tangle with him.
Okay. So what are you going to do for your turn?
Sure, let's hit him with this.
Alright, roll a this check.
This. Let's hit him with
Ooh.
this.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Can I have that?
You said he's a Loxodon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is
The
that
charisma saving.
complete immune or resistant?
Advantage.
So I thought.
Wait.
Loxodon bravery. You have advantage on saves against fear. He still rolls it. He's not immune. He just has a save against the fear that you're trying to do.
It doesn't matter. I get.
You get what?
I get a damage that does extra points. So.
Right. You would get the damage regardless. It's just whether or not he's frightened of you. And if he's frightened of you, he's going to let go of the grapple. So.
That's one. He makes it. Why is... No enemies have yet to be feared by this.
You've only used it twice.
Not an enemy.
Yes, you're not an enemy, though.
I am a coward, though.
Well, you chose to be rightfully scared. Young was actually affected by it.
Alright.
Okay, so that doesn't work. So,
They just
Which-
pop out your wings and Locke sounds like, oh, okay.
bonus... I can't pull out a weapon since I'm grappled, can I?
You
I can
could.
still attack.
You could still attack. Is that a bonus action to do that?
No,
Oh,
the
that's an
bonus
action.
action
That's an action to do that.
to attack. Attack for what?
The necrotic shout thing was an action to do.
No, it's not.
It says it is.
As an
Long
action.
Rest as an action.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yes,
So-
but I'm pulling out my sword and lighting it on fire then.
yeah, okay.
Yes, that you can do.
Yeah, so let's do that.
Alright. So,
And if I attack while grappled, I just have what?
you have disadvantage on the attack, but that's it. You can still attack while...
Would he get burned from holding on to her while she's holding a flaming
No.
weapon?
No, because he's holding on to me, not the actual sword.
So, he is going to, yeah, he's going to swing at you with his, well, he's, actually, no. he's got you grappled, so he is going to attempt to basically trying to figure out the best way that he's going to. He's trying to subdue you, or to yeah. He's just gonna roll an attack. That'd be. What was the damage on your maul there?
The Warhammer, you mean?
Yeah, Warhammer.
Is he? If he's using it two-handed, it's a D10. But I highly doubt he'd be able to hold her and use it effectively two-handed.
No.
Right.
So D8 if he's improvising some one-handed thing.
Well.
Ow.
Yeah.
Clunk.
So he just slams the warhammer against you, like your shoulder, as he's pinning you against the wall, and growls in your face, "What is going on here?"
I'm just growling right back and be like, fuck off.
Uh-huh.
He's giving you an opportunity to get him off you. Talk. Say something to make him stop beating up on you. I don't know.
I thought he was enraged. So,
Oh, he's gonna be ragey here in a minute.
that's fine, because Silver's not happy.
You're welcome.
You hit her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It'll be your turn.
so- Of course, he's within 10 feet of me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use Vow of Amity.
Oh, what's that?
I gain advantage on attack rolls against it for 1 minute,
Ooh, which would be
so I get to roll normal attacks.
Yeah.
with
You're,
my
you're
sword.
rolling normal attacks. Is Vow of Amity a bonus action to do?
Yes.
Okay.
nice.
So just normal rolls. 23,
Oh yeah, that'll hit him.
12.
Okay.
And next one, 14.
14 would not hit him. No.
Okay.
So you swing at him with your sword, and what exactly would the Val thing look like anyway? I wonder.
Oh, it's just me, basically, like, saying something to him, like,
I'm gonna kick you in the dick.
no, well, I mean, it could be worded that way, but
All right.
You get back in your closet.
just leave us alone.
Break my shoulder, I'll break your clavicle.
Sure.
I need to
Okay.
look up what a clavicle is.
So
I think something clavicle is with, like, throat or something.
It's the collarbone.
oh, that'd be fun to try to break on an elephant person.
The clavicle or collarbone is a long bone that serves as a strap between the shoulder blade and the sternum.
Good to know.
Mm.
All right. So, well, good thing this is medieval times. Otherwise, he'd totally get on his radio to call for his buddies. But anyway.
Yeah, we're in an alleyway.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, he's just gonna swing at you again. And rage.
Okay.
Because he can. And he doesn't have as many attacks as you do, because he's not quite high enough level to get extra attack. He's not a best.
Keeping
He,
track of how many rages this guy has?
huh?
Are you keeping track?
Because
of
he's
how
already
many
used
rages
rage
he-
once.
Yes, he would only have 2 rages. This would be his last one. He was
Cool.
He was raid G when he was leaving, but he wasn't actually in rage because he couldn't be in rage and still have it at this point.
Right.
Right. Just make
So
sure.
he also has advantage on hitting you because you're grappled.
No,
Or-
he
or
only
rather-
has advantage on me if I'm prone. I'm not prone.
Right. Or rather, he has advantage on hitting you because reckless.
That can probably happen.
And wait a minute. Reckless gives advantage to both the target and the user.
Yes.
It will.
She
So
has
the next-
advantage from something else, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
so
that
now
means
I
that
would
she'll
actually have
actually have
proper
advantage.
advantage. Yes.
Yes, she would. But he does hit her.
Wait, what's the DC? I mean,
I'm assuming
The
your
DC
armor class is less than 23.
yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Be right back getting Q-tips to clean my ears since I'm not involved in the scene.
Uh-huh.
We'll jump to you in a bit.
Cad, give me a perception check. Having advantage from sense of smell would not help you in this situation, so don't worry about that.
I would like to
Well-
point out that my last attack meant to have necrotic damage as well to it.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead and roll that.
No, I don't roll it. It's a straight up number.
Oh, what's the number?
Yeah, 7 necrotic damage.
Oh, okay.
So that's that. And yeah, so I'm gonna be like, yeah, gonna do attack and then smite. So this time I do get advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'll hit him.
22. Okay, there's that. And then my smite is just a regular 2d8. So that's 9 radiant. That's one of my 1 slots. Then he takes another 7 damage from necrotic. I still get advantage on my next attack, right? Is it all attacks against him or just the next attack?
You would. However, he took damage previously, and he's not super high level as a barbarian.
Oh, is he down?
Yeah. You knock him unconscious off of you.
Oh, I picked a good time to come back then.
Locke, give me a perception check right quick.
Okay. I had something in perception. 13 total?
Okay. So, and Cad rolled
12.
12.
No, 17.
Well, he had
Oh,
advantage,
Right, he doesn't.
but he doesn't get the technical bonus from it at this particular point.
I get advantage because of sense of smell. So anytime he needs a normal roll, I'm going to roll advantage. The advantage number is for smell. Whatever the first number was, high or low, was my normal.
So, and then let me roll a quick perception for, person.
Oh, we're being followed.
Not quite, not exactly.
Also, Oak. And Yang.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's a plus 12. Is that on our side?
Yes, it is.
That
'cause
should
that's-
be Oak.
That is Oak's perception.
Okay.
We're in there for a second.
So,
So I
So-
hereby open the ballot for proposal to rename our group, as long as he's present, to Perception Yes. All in favor?
That's just his nickname. It's just Perception, yes.
okay. So,
The Watching Bard. He sees
so,
everything.
what I'm going to say happens here, you guys are running because you had followed through with what Silver had said, keep running, she'll catch up. And Silver disappears in a flurry of mist, and as you guys are running, to
Plank of armor.
to try to catch up or try to get away, Oak sort of looks behind him and then yells out, "Young, what are you?" And you guys realize that Young is not following you. She disappeared off into a different alley as you guys were running forward, and Oak was the only one that saw her bail. And
Shit.
cut back to Silver.
It's like,
Silver,
why won't you go down?
Silver, you swing it. How do you swing at him while grappled to knock him off of you?
Well, it depends. How does he have a hold of me?
He
has
has
me kind of pinned up, not really pinned up against a wall.
he has you up against the wall, and the blunt or like the heavy end of his warhammer is against your shoulder, which is making it harder for you to swing. But he's not got your
Well, it
keep
depends which shoulder.
the shoulder that you're not wielding your weapon with, so that it's effective to say that you can still attack him.
Okay, so he's holding my hand, my shield side.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just comes up and just like baps him in the temple and just like, fuck off.
Okay.
I thought she knocked him out.
Yeah.
She did.
With
So-
a pommel strike to the temple.
So you pummel him into the temple, and he sort of like
As she she sits there and hits him with the pommel, the fire just jumps off her sword and hits him in the face.
yes, and he just he makes a sort of groaning trumpet sound because elephant and falls backwards away from you. And as he does so, make for me a perception check.
Oh boy. Oh, did Young do a sneak attack on him?
No.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you pummel him. He falls to the ground. You see that he is with your pommel strike. You got some fire in there. So unless he gets some sort of attention, he's might be all right.
Yeah, Silver doesn't have her rope anymore because we used it to tie up the halfling and then we booted the halfling away.
Hmm?
Or was it a gnome?
The one that you punted last session was a halfling.
Yeah, so the halfling has her rope. She doesn't have rope anymore. Shit.
He's unconscious. It's probably be all right to just leave him. If he'll be out for a while, we can put plenty of distance.
Yeah, but she hit him with some radiant damage and narcotic, and yeah, he's
Basically what he's saying is he's bleeding out.
yeah.
What rope have to do with anything? You'd want bandages.
To tie him up first so I can heal him back awake. And he won't attack.
Okay.
How
Hold on.
about just bind his wounds
Fine.
and go?
She's just gonna lay on hands and get him up to one hit point and just run.
Hold on.
Hey, Dan, doesn't any amount of magical healing constitute stabilization?
Yes.
Yes, but if she does lay on hands or something of the other persuasion, he is
It
going to
brings him
become
up to one
conscious
hit.
again.
Yes.
She can't like bring him to 0 and
Nope.
stabilize him.
That would be a
No.
medicine check, and I don't have that.
So heal him with your left hand while your right hand's a fist, and as soon as he opens his eyes, just clog him from non-lethal.
All right.
All right. So what
Feels
you
a
doing,
bit
Silver?
that feels a little micromanagey, but all right.
Yeah, he's on one hit point. He's rough. I don't think he's gonna follow us anymore. And she's just gonna run.
All right.
So you lay on hands, give him one hit point, and run.
Yeah, just like,
1 hit point. He'll run. He is groaning and on the ground as you are making your way to get away. And as you do so, Young appears beside you.
Yeah, what? God.
Sorry, I was just wanting
do
to
that.
make sure. I was just wanting to make sure that everything was going to go okay. You handled him pretty well, it looked like.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah, okay. Everyone else went this way. And she guided you in the direction that everyone else had went.
Right, okay.
So, after cutting back to the other group, after Yong had disappeared down a different alley, and Oak had pointed it out, what do you guys do?
I think the plan was to make our way for that one inn/tavern where we met Solum once.
Yep.
That was the idea. Like that's our rally point for the moment. So we're
Yeah.
heading there.
Alright, so you guys continue to make your way up that way. I'm assuming keeping to the back alleys and things
Keeping it out of sight. Yep.
to do that. So, those of you who are in this first band, which would be Oak, Cad, and Locke, go ahead and make for me stealth rolls.
18 for me.
18, 16, 11. Alright. You guys keep fairly well out of sight, and it takes you a bit of time because it is a decent chunk away from where the warden's office was. But you get to a point where you can sort of stake out the inn from the tavern where you'd met Solomon before. And having known that that was the tactic to take, let us do stealth checks to keep to the back alleys for the other half of the party.
Alright.
Which would be Silver with advantage and Young. Thank you, advantage.
Yes.
What is with my 11s? Anyway, so, yeah, you've kept to the back alleys fairly decently. How are you guys walking once the guard has been dealt with, or you're further away from the guard? Are you continuing to run?
I'm sure we would slow down after a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say once we've ducked a half a minute or a minute down a couple of alleys in front of him and he's not chasing, it doesn't make sense to run because in a way that's going to make us stand out much more.
So
Yep.
yeah, we slow down once we're
Alright. What does or rather Locke and Oak, well, Oak doesn't matter. What does Cad have his hat set to at the moment?
Silent Wind of Doomwoosh.
Right. Okay. Alrighty. So,
Shadow Grasp.
actually, I think your disguise was like a 15 or something when you did it before.
I think so. Or whoever
Mhm.
applied it to me. When I let the girls do my makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I think Graves and
I think it was
pouty
like
face, if I
15,
remember.
17, and 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter then.
Yeah, shit.
So, you guys are making your way towards that other tavern where you had previously met Solomon, and there's a point where one of the other guards sort of does like a double take in Locke's general direction, the general direction of the group as a whole. And he is going to start to approach the three of you. He's not making a move to his sword or anything like that, but he's clearly approaching the three of you who are traveling together with purpose. And Oak sort of gives a passing glance to Locke to see what he would do, because no one's going to recognize him in this city. So if there's anything from this guard that would lend itself to that, it would be they recognize Locke. So Locke, what are you two going to do with that information?
I will look at them with a level expression and not make any open signs of hostility, just acknowledgement, and see what they do. Well, in the back of my head, starting to have a mild panic attack.
Wait, in the back of your head or the back of my head?
Let's say that for the sake of it, I awaken my Dekadja so I can start spewing Locke's internal panic a little bit. It's like, oh shit, I have no idea what to do. I was not anticipating this situation. Oh shit, we are fucked. We are going to die. We are going to be strung up by our entrails and giblets. I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Oh crap, oh shit, oh Jesus Christ.
Thanks for that mental image. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You gave it you some payback for earlier.
At least mine was cheerful.
Yours was lukewarm at best.
Mine lacked entirely entrails.
Well, yes, because they were all removed, much like ours will soon be.
Anyway,
So,
all right.
So we're perceiving what his reaction is or whatever.
Externally, Locke's face looks kind of just normal. Internally and awakened mind with Gradiriel, he's freaking the hell out because he's completely in over his head. He has no idea what to do. But he's keeping up a brave face.
Pardon the intrusion, folks, but I have a question for your little friend there, says the guard as he approaches the elf-looking roguish person and the furbolg. And
which
Oak
little
is
person
like...
he, pointing to, because both of us are relatively tall.
Probably me.
Okay,
Yeah.
was assuming. Wanted to make sure.
I'm sorry. You look very much like someone that we have been searching for. What is your business in the city?
I'm just with some friends. I gesture at them. They're looking out for me. While my parents can't.
Okay.
If he gets any roll from that, it better be an advantage because that's true.
It's kind of like a blend between lie and truth.
All good lies have a little bit of truth in them.
I think it would probably be persuasion.
I believe that's reasonable. Yeah. Persuasion with advantage.
All right. 25.
Holy crap.
Is he buying it? He seems very sincere.
Voice actor.
Alright. I see. My mistake then. Carry on. Just be aware that your general appearance does seem to match with someone else that we may be speaking of, may be looking for, so do be careful. Some guards are not necessarily as peaceful as me. Some will strike first and ask questions later.
Due to years of experience, Locke will force himself to visibly go pale. And give a stiff, shaky little nod. Okay. And then I'll kind of nudge up closer to hide next to Shadow Grasp. It's hiding in the shadows of his cloak or trying to without making it abundant that it's an illusion.
Alright. And so the guard wanders off, and as the guard is making his way away from you guys, Silver and Silver and Young meet back up with you guys.
And now in awakened mind, Locke is just spewing his relief. Just, oh, thank fuck! I can't believe that worked. Holy shit, my heart is pounding. We need to get inside and hide. Ah, crap, yeah.
There, friend.
I'm not used to this kind of pressure.
Well, thankfully, this is Young speaking, sort of out of breath. Thankfully, Silver dealt with our friend from before rather effectively, I think. Though we might not have a whole lot of time to do something about your father, because when that Loxodon gets some more wits about him, he's probably going to inform everybody of what is going on.
Well, then we should probably act first, honestly.
Okay, so what's the plan? Do we...
The way
What
I
do we
see
wanna
it,
do here?
probably our only the way I see it, probably our only option if we want to actually have this forged document be worth anything is go there now and see this done. And remind me,
Yes.
is Miss Dragonborn with me right now? With
no. She let you guys leave, and she separated off from you, so that she could kind of go at her own pace and meet up with Terrence. She was, according to what she had told you guys, she left from where you guys were, and she was going to be waiting with Terrence when you guys were ready to leave.
All right. So straight to the jail then. Dungeon?
If we do, how are we gonna get in there?
I mean, we have the documents that'll let them out. We just show that to the people at the gate, right?
Remember, you, I, and Young
Okay, then
went there and we saw him. They've seen our faces.
Cad then. He can disguise himself as just one of the guards sent to handle this trifling matter. It's a small thing, letting a prisoner out. They don't
And
necessarily send super
what
high-ranking
happens
people to do
then when
that.
if he possibly fails? He gets captured again.
Well,
I'm saying let's use Solum to help us again.
well, all right. Here's hoping it doesn't take too long then.
Okay. Oak sort of speaks up and he goes, well, theoretically they don't know my face either. So...
You go in, you go ask where Solum is. She's like pointing at Oak. It's just like had a small epiphany or something. You go in and ask where he is.
Like at the inn or the barracks?
Into the tavern or the barracks?
The tavern.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think they'll let normal people into the barracks.
Well, no, but...
If he's a regular at this place, they will probably know where he's at. Which I
Okay.
suspect, based off last time, he is a regular.
Right. So... Solum, he was a Loxodon guard, and I am to ask... when... either where he is or when he will be at the tavern... When he will be at the tavern next.
Sounds about right. Yep.
Okay, I can do that. If everyone else will wait here, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll wait. We'll wait for you. Don't take too long.
And then Oak will wander his way into the tavern for a brief bit.
Yay. Skipping
So-
dialogue after a few minutes.
I'm assuming that there's no degree of small talk or anything, but
No, we're like pretty. I'm guessing we're pretty much holding our breath.
More or less.
Going like, please work,
Um,
please work, please work, please work.
so after maybe 15 minutes or so, well, no, closer to like 5
Oh,
minutes.
that's
So after about 5 minutes or so, Oak returns. Okay.
Okay, good. He's not in chains.
It's a good start.
Well, like I said, I was just asking as a citizen wanting to know where a particular guard was. Although I will say that the barkeep for this tavern, something about the way that he spoke made it seem like the fact that I knew Solum and was asking for him specifically was not that uncommon. Yet, mentioning his name and sort of reading the crowd of the other folks that are around that tavern, Solum's known in that tavern for being a powerful and/or aggressive Loxodon guard. So,
Yeah, and I pretty much knocked him out. Anyway,
okay.
long story. Explain later.
They have a working relationship after last time we were here.
Well, this is the second time meeting him. First time we knocked him out in the prison trying to get this guy out.
Right.
But I mean, initially, right. But I mean, like, up until that, we had like that fun little alleyway brawl. It was super fun.
Yes.
Anyway, point being, Solum is going to be finishing up his rounds as he normally does, and according to the bartender, he is going to be coming into that tavern in about 3 hours, putting it just as dusk hits.
Does he say where his rounds is done at?
Apparently his rounds tend to focus into the more business district of the city, and he patrols, in particular, a blacksmith shop and another tavern and other various places. If we really, she said that, or rather, the barkeep said that if we really did need him, we could perhaps try to find him in the business district as part of his rounds.
That's what I was going to suggest we do, is go find him.
Okay. So, I don't know the city to know where the business district is, and I presented it as if I was going to wait to speak with him later. That way it wasn't as suspicious. So, but I did learn where his rounds was in case that's the option we wanted to take. Yeah, I just don't know the city. So I would assume that some of you know where the business district part of the city would actually be.
Yes? Question mark?
Yes, you do.
Also, I'll be right back.
Uh-huh. So, I think then the tactic would be to make your way to the business district of this wonderful city and try to catch him on his patrols as he's going around.
Are we all going to approach him, or just all go but one approach, or?
Don't know yet.
Well, seeing as how he's an more aggressive Loxodon, I don't necessarily think a whole party of people approaching him in the middle of his rounds would be a very good idea.
We'd want to send one of the faces he's familiar with, and he's most familiar with Silver, so we should probably send her along to do the talking. She's the one who knows the most about the city anyway, aside from Cad, but Cad has to limit his interactions because he can't disguise his voice.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's a limitation
this
of your hat.
tall, mysterious, hooded elf. He says, "Sorry, friend."
No, it's all right. Not your fault. Not your fault. It's a limitation of the hat.
Did you say that Silver and this guard were on decent terms, or?
They are on. They have a working, like it's professional, I guess you could say. Very limited definitely a lot of room for trust to be expanded, but we've worked with him once before. It was in large part thanks to him that we were able to get you out of your cell. He was the one who escorted us in to bust you out in the first place, under the pretense of arresting us.
Yeah, he does. He seems like a good guy. I trust
Yeah.
him.
He's part of that movement that's going on all underground to try and oust a lot of the corruption in this city. So
One
I
one
didn't know.
thing that I was going to recommend is maybe when we get close enough that we can identify where he is, maybe Locke could do Awaken Mind to alert him that Silver is coming to speak with him, in case he's surrounded by others or whatever.
perhaps we'll see if that's necessary when we find him.
Mm.
Okay. So, Silver, I guess, would rather effectively, since she knows this city decently well. I'm not gonna necessarily make a roll for it. You know decently enough how to get to the business district of this city. You've
The problem then becomes finding our target.
yeah,
Alright,
and
so-
once you get to the business district,
Well,
and
we
you
have a times schedule kind of thing where we know once it starts looking like it's about getting this time, we should head back to the tavern.
right. If you haven't
Yeah.
found them within this span of time frame, you should probably go back and look. Go back towards the tavern. All right. So, you make your way, and whoever is wanting to helm the search to sort of look through the alleys to find where Solum may be traveling.
Whoever has the highest perception score shall helm this.
Well, I mean that's obvious.
All
Go
eyes
ahead,
turn
roll
to
us a
Oak.
35, would you?
All eyes turn to Oak.
So
It's not
I'm-
35, it would be 32.
I'm just as. Was there any distinguishing features on this particular Loxodon? Or am I just looking for a Loxodon guard in this particular area?
Describe him, I guess.
Either Silver or, well, any of the three of you, really.
Yeah, we describe him. We describe him. You never really described him
Hey,
to us beyond the fact that he's a Loxodon, so.
You said that I had trained with him before because I knew him prior, right?
Yeah, you did. You know
So-
Solum and his name. You know of him.
So how about I give him a fantastic description based on having worked with him for how long?
He was one of the
Because
ones
everyone
that.
else sort of saw him for a day.
Yeah, that's true. That works
I would
great.
have seen him for much longer. So.
Yep.
And he's got a scar on this cheek, and his ears are like mine but shorter. And I don't know what all my character would say, but I figure I would probably have
Yeah.
the better description.
All right. So, and actually, since everybody's helping in, this is a group effort. Advantage. 26.
Yay!
So Oak sort of looks through the alleyways, trying to pick up on where he is, and it takes him a bit, and then he goes, right there, and he sort of indicates to you guys the Loxodon guard is in one of the back alleys behind the blacksmith shop, and he seems to be when Oak indicates where he is, you guys can see him, and you're from a distance away. He's looking down and against the wall, and his focus is on something that is in front of him that he's blocking because he's so big. You guys can't see him. So, yeah, that's what you got before you. He hasn't turned around to face or see you guys yet.
Alright. How then do you want to go about this? Does he look occupied with something at the moment?
Yeah,
Like, is
a
he
little
just
bit. It looks like he's dealing with something.
like talking to someone or inspecting
Talking to
a thing,
someone.
or
talking to someone. You guys are just not close enough to really hear it.
Can we see
Locke?
who he's talking to?
He's standing in between. We can't see from where we are.
Oh,
Locke, why can't you just do, your mind thing?
right. All right.
Either way, Silver's just gonna go up to him.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and once we're within 30 feet, I'll set up an awaken mind link with Solum and quickly say, "Don't panic, but on your 6, you've got Silver coming up. We want to talk to you about something. We communicated a ways back. You should remember us. There was the whole deal with Kenneth. I'm just gonna caca, I'm just gonna cut it now." And then I'll cut the link and let him react as he sees fit.
So you're discussing that with them, and he's like, "Wait, what? Huh? Oh." And he turns around and ends up facing Silver as she's walking closer. How do you approach Silver?
She just walks up to him and be like, yo.
All right.
Just saunter up with confidence. It's like, yeah, I kicked your butt. I could do it again. What's up, man?
No, it's just like, sup.
All right. So Silver, now that you are closer and his attention has been changed to look away, you see that sitting against the wall on the ground, there's this sort of scruffy-looking young human boy that he, for lack of a better term to put it, he looks like a little straight rat kid that's just sitting up against the wall and he's got his head down, and you see that in his hands he's sort of rolling back and forth it looks like something akin to a small dagger of sorts, but not one that's very sharp. It's like an old one. But yeah, you are approaching Solum, and Solum sort of grunts. Did you wait? You guys left. What are you doing back again?
Some things got complicated. We need help again.
Okay. And he sort of turns back to the kid, and sort of in a slightly intimidating but not super aggressive manner, he just, "Yo, kid, get out of him." And the kid just like, nah, 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 gets up and runs off. And halfway trips, and then you guys see this probably maybe 12 human little boy, scruffy looking little street rat, just sort of runs off past you guys. And then Solomon sort of just leans against the alleyway. So what do you need?
We need you to go into the lesser prison. Not the big one where we got Cad from.
I'm busting someone out, is what you're saying?
We have documentation this time.
Sort of raises an eyebrow. So you have a document to say that there is from the warden.
Yep.
Like from Lucas Warden? Luke Warden?
I honestly don't remember his name. He was probably pissing himself really bad.
Well, if it was a warden that was terrified of everything, that was probably Lucas. Okay. So, all right. Can I see this document then?
Yeah. Come on. Go back to the group.
Locke's like already holding it out. Here you go.
Yeah, da 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 da.
Da-na-na-na.
It's dangerous. Take and go alone. Take this.
So he sort of looks it
Dangerous. You should
over.
absolutely go alone.
So he takes the document and sort of looks it over. Gives a passing glance to your elven-looking friend.
When he looks in my direction, I very, very subtly bow, ever so slightly in his direction. More of a nod than a bow. Just acknowledgement.
Solum looks over the documents for a bit, and he goes, "Okay, so, all right. So this Fredrick person is who I'm going to be helping release then.
Yeah, 3rd floor.
All right then. Okay, so if I'm going to be doing this properly, I can go in and I can get him, and then have him lead him up to meet up with you guys, either at a specific tavern, or perhaps even just outside of the city, because general prisoner releases, at least those of, wow, been in there for some time, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Way
longer
too
than he
long.
should have.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, okay. I see why. Okay, yeah. So, I leave this up to you two, or you, or 5. I leave this up to you folks. I can either release him and then escort him outside of the city at a specific gate where you guys would be waiting, or I can escort him to a specific tavern and you guys can wait in a tavern. And
Can you
then
escort him to Terrence?
Terrence.
Or wait, Terrence. That is the name of the guy who does the teleport thingy
Yes.
that we're relying
Yeah,
on.
it
right?
is.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure I had that right.
Yeah, we kind of set it up so we can get out of here quickly once we got him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only this time we won't be in a rush. That's out of character.
Hopefully.
I still haven't said anything in front of him.
So it would look a little odd if I escorted in
I
particular.
thought it's just like once someone's served, they just get booted out the door of the prison and told, don't do the shit anymore.
Not those on the 3rd level.
Oh. Okay.
Those on the 3rd level have a bit of a higher degree of risk, and according to protocol, to keep everything clean on my end so that I can maintain this without causing so much of a ruckus, I need to do stuff a little bit more by the book. And those who are on the 3rd level are either
Why was he on the 3rd floor if he just stole something?
Because Norro is a sack of shit.
Solum sort of does a gesture with his hand towards Locke when he says that. It's like, I rest my taste. That's why.
Spiteful necromantic piece of filth.
Oh, I hadn't heard about
Oh
that.
yeah, he's a necromancer.
I heard
Yeah,
rumors
I don't
flying around the city about that.
Yeah, he attacked me with zombies once. It wasn't a fun time.
Well,
Yeah, so we're trying to find evidence against him. Oh, wait, we do! Silver, like, goes through her bag and, like, holds up the books. Just like, yeah.
Yeah, the journals and shit that that we have.
The warden had. The warden gave it to us of all his stupid dealings.
And I also have his journal too, so that'll help.
Okay.
Would any
All
would
right.
any of that be of use to you?
It would actually.
Then by all means.
All right. So, I think that's. I think that's suitable enough payment for me to worth the risk to go against protocol a little bit. If I can have some degree of something to throw in other people's face to be like, by the way,
Distraction.
precisely, actually.
Look,
course.
a distraction.
Of course, that wouldn't put me on good terms with Norro either, but
Welcome.
alright. So, I will bring... Okay. The only stipulation that I have is, seeing as how he is on the 3rd level, and I am going to be bringing your father, who appears to be some form of a mage, or at least arcanely inclined.
I wouldn't know about that. I've had fleeting interactions with the man. My hope in getting him out is to fix that.
Well,
Put him
yes,
into a
of
position
course.
to make
But
up for
according to the documentation that is here with him, documentation that mostly was forged by Cad and Valzito that Locke never really saw. To be moved and at least look like I'm following protocol, I'm going to have to give him an anti-magic collar, similar to the one that I put on you. Of
That's fine, as long as we can remove it later.
course.
Would we be able to keep it? I would actually break my self-imposed vow of silence and I'd ask him that. Would we actually be able to keep it?
Solum blinks and then just smiles.
I gesture vaguely with a ta-da look.
He sort of blinks and then just smiles. Alright. So I will bring him to the mage quarters. And someone of you, or perhaps someone else like Terrence, could meet up with him and then bring him down to you guys. And then teleportation circle, and you can go where you need to go. Alright. It may take me hour or two to go through all the red tape of doing things the effective way. Was this document looks pretty well made, but I can't begin to imagine that someone with the kind of reputation that Lucas had would actually write this.
I'll just give a slight little smirk. But say not a damn thing.
Alright. I'll make it as quick as I can then.
Alright.
I suppose if you guys need any other help, I'll see you again. But I can't very well go into the mage quarter for no reason, and I'll escort him to the mage quarter. It's the best I can do.
That works. So we'll meet you there at the mage quarter? Is what I'm getting from this?
Yeah. You guys make your way back into the mage quarters. You might have to do so carefully, because other guards have seen you guys when you made your way through that area before. So
You said it's now about evening, right?
it's getting closer to dusk, yeah. Well, no. You met him on his round, so it's probably about an hour or so before dusk. By the time he gets Fredrick there, it will be nighttime, though.
And by the time we get there, what time will it be?
I mean, yeah, it's decent enough away from the business district, so you're probably going to be very close to evening or dusk by the time you guys even make it there. Especially if you're going through back alleys and not going a direct path. All right. I will send him that. I will get him that way. And if you guys ever need any help or make your way through here, I suppose you know where to find me now.
If anything, I'm the one who now owes you a favor.
Might take you up on that. Don't be surprised if you hear if you get a message from a cleric friend of mine if I ever think I find something that might be worth your interest.
I'll keep my ears open.
Then you guys, he sort of makes his way away from you folks unless anybody else has anything particular they want to say to him.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Not at the moment.
Good to see
anyway.
All right. So
Let's make this quick.
you guys make your way back down to the mage's quarter. Still roll me some stealths as a group stealth to try to keep yourself sort of. This isn't so much a stealth from a dexterity perspective. This is just a more like
8.
feel like you're belonging more.
Well, then wouldn't that be a charisma check?
I mean, yeah, it could be. Yeah, sure.
Or
Everyone.
if I'm wanting to look more natural, wouldn't that be a nature check?
Haha. Fine. I'll keep the stealth checks. It's fine. We have.
I mean, as long as we're not running and skulking through back alleys, it's not going. We're not going to stand out. If people see us, they're going to see a group of people like walking out in the evening.
Why did I roll sleight of hand? I wanted stealth. There we go. That's better. Anyway, so you guys make your way up into the mage's quarter. The last time that you guys were here, you sort of were rushing through it, and you didn't get a chance to see that this place is clearly someplace that those that are a little bit higher up and more elite like to keep clean and very pretty, and it's got a degree of like that noble elegance to it. But then after you're here for a little bit, you notice a certain blinkling who sees you, and he's all right. Come on, and he directs you down to his little library area. And once you make your way downstairs, assuming you follow suit to go down with him, you see Valzita, the Silver Dragonborn, who appears to be reading through a book at like one of the small little reading areas in that little library that he's got downstairs. Yeah. And you got a little bit of waiting to do before you are joined by a certain human individual.
Alright, so Locke is going to sort of just find a corner, sit down, and just sort of a sulk, I guess, or like just isolate himself a bit because he has to start psyching himself up for what's happening here. It's like, this is a bit earlier than I was expecting. Oh dear, all right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's like he's sauntering off to just sort of try desperately to pull his head together.
Shouldn't we warn your mother?
If one of you wants to do that with magic, be my guest. I lack the capability.
I can't do it.
I got it. Says Oak. Seeing as how he's the only one who really can.
Mhm.
And Oak speaks for a bit using the divine ways of the sending spell, and he basically
Tells my mom that dad is coming home.
Yeah.
This won't be awkward at all.
and then after a minute listening to her response, he seems about as anxious about it as Locke is. Makes sense.
Can you really blame us?
Yeah.
I mean, you know our history, at least to a lesser extent, don't you, Oak? I mean, I've gone into it while you were around.
I know.
Yeah. I don't think Silver is actually really all that clued in, is she? Like, she knows that
Nope.
my character's... Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so she's kind of in the dark. She just knows that that's my character's dad, and there's this weird thing going on with...
And Cad knows very, very little about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright.
So yeah,
So-
Locke is just, once that's done, is just keeping to himself in a corner and trying not to have a panic attack, essentially, because this is happening a lot sooner than he was anticipating.
Right. Young sort of sits down, try to catch her breath from the anxiousness of dealing with all of that.
Pretty hectic afternoon we did.
Yeah. Everyone make for me a perception check.
I smell something going wrong.
If anyone who takes a look, who would theoretically be taking a look towards Yang, so probably not Locke anyway, but if anybody, when Locke sort of sulks off in a corner and Yang's doing something similar, so if anyone else chooses to look in her direction, you can give me a perception. Okay. So Cad, you don't really pick up on it necessarily. But
She's afraid. Do I smell it?
no.
Oh.
But Silver, you see that Yang has. She's sort of trying to set herself more in the darkness in one of the corners. And you notice that she seems to be messing with some sort of little, based on your perception check, it looks like a little stuffed animal or a doll.
Oh.
That
Um,
fucking thing.
And so, yeah, she's messing with that. You can do with that what you will, if anything. And then Oak's got one of the books to similar to Valzita, who was reading one of the books. He sort of looks into some of the other magic books that Terrence has around here while we wait for a little less than an hour, a little over an hour, somewhere in there, give or take, for Fredrick to arrive. So, we know what Locke is doing. What is Cad and Silver going to do?
When we met with Solum, did we actually give him the books up front, or did we say that we'd give him those for exchanging over Fredrick after?
The books
I
that
don't
was in
think we're
question.
specified.
The books in question were in Silver's possession, I believe, because they're the ones that she
Yes,
got from Lucas. So I leave that up to her to decide, because it was sort of vague in that regard.
And she's actually going to look through the books real quick. See if she can pick up any names.
I was going to say that if we still had them in our possession and we knew it was going to be an hour, give or take, I was going to volunteer to take a partially filled book of my notes from stuff and jot down anything from that book if we wanted a copy of something that looked important. Like if there was a diagram.
Silver's wanting to go through and take note of any names that seem important in them.
Okay.
So diagrams, direct quotes of anything that skimming looks important, list of names, anything that seems important, I volunteer to jot down a copy.
Okay. So going through the documentation and various elements of what Lucas had, you see a lot of individuals that got seem to get extended, similar to what happened with Fredrick. You see a lot of people that got extended prison sentences that didn't quite match what their crimes were. You have someone who was put in that same tier as Fredrick, and yet, according to the documentation, the only thing that they had found was they had been caught in possession. According to the documentation, they had been caught in possession of contraband, something illegal, and they were put with people who were claimed to be like, because that third tier is for like high-ranking criminals, short of those who are in isolation. So the idea of someone who is there for essentially the illegal possession of something seems strange, just as strange as someone who's there for stealing something, even if it was theft from a noble, which is what was Frederick's issue.
How many names are listed as those who were given inflated sentences?
According to the documentation, there was a sizable chunk of people. It gotten to the point to, at this particular point in time, there's a good solid 15 folks that have got sentences that doesn't match their crimes.
And that includes Fredrick?
That 15 does include Fredrick. It also technically includes you, Cad.
Okay.
And you were stuffed in maximum security, like for the
Yep.
lowest of the low, the scummiest of the scum, where I found a talking crossbow that I still think is lying around somewhere.
It's in the bag of holding.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have now granted, of that, the way that the documentation is written, it says the person's crime, the person's name, and the person's crime, person's name, and person's location and time of sentence, and as well as who was the one that gave them that sentence, so to speak. Which all of them are Norros, save for actually like 3.
Are
and then
any of the 3 me or Fredrick?
Well, what I'm saying is no. All the ones involving you guys were Fredrick, and you had Norro's name attached, and then there's another set of 3 that have the different name that none of you know.
Okay.
So in other words, all but 3 of them were done by Norro, if I'm understanding this right.
Yep, all but 3 were done by Norro, and the only one that was in the maximum security one that's in that list is Cad. So that means that, assuming that there were more than one person in maximum security, the ones that was in maximum security needed to be there. They weren't escalated like Cad was. Of course, the documentation doesn't talk anything about anybody else that was in isolation other than Cad, because it's specifically Lucas's documentation that he has on things that were included about Norro. It just seems like when he made the list, which this is before computers, when he sort of made that list out, there were 3 that he included that were not Norro randomly.
So there's like 3 other people that asked for extended sentences other than Norro?
There's one other person, and there's 3 prisoners that name's attached to.
Okay, I want that other name.
To be generated later.
Yes.
Technically, yeah.
Okay.
And then you have, so that's an important name. And then again with documentation concerning Norro, the warden had something that was called and Silver's the one that's reading through it, right?
Yeah, just
Well,
like
I mean, I'd be skimming through with her probably.
Yeah. So in and amongst all that documentation, you also find one that's labeled as the Volana Project.
What is it?
definitely taking note of that.
What's it called?
It's something labeled the Volana Project, which is.
VALLANA.
Hold on, I'll get it.
I
Volana.
probably meant like 3 silent letters. I doubled the L instead of the N. Okay, I was close.
Alright, so. And what the Volana Project seems to talk about is. It looks like some degree of a like a checklist, and it details info for what would it be? For it details specifics on 4 like churches. The names sound like churches or religious temples, but they're not ones that like scream religious temple the way that they're sounded. You can make a religion check if you want. Both of you. And 4 specific churches and 4 specific graveyards, but it's outside of all these places are outside of Caverton. So yeah, you rolled a 4 and a 7. You're not a clue.
I know religion exists. Apparently, I've read about it once.
Yeah. Basically, what you guys can
the churches are passing, but those could be anything.
Basically, from skimming it and from your lower religion rolls, you get the idea that these are churches, but for not well-known gods. And it does appear from like the naming conventions of the churches that they're for the same god. It's just not one that you guys are aware of.
Okay, well, anyway, taking note.
Those, and then there's documentation of like, because this isn't the time period where he can make extensive documents, but he's got where he's done like office type work, and it's clear that the warden, though he was sort of higher up, he tended to try to do a lot of more grunt work for Norro. So he's got like a paper trail for money transactions and various things, and yeah, he was getting a good lump sum from Norro for all of his things and information that he was finding. Yeah. So
And what was the warden's name again?
Lucas.
Yeah.
Alright. So after having done that, Cad was with Silver, sort of copying over this documentation in specifics. And in particular, the other person's name that was in the list with Norro but not Norro, and the name of these churches and graveyards, which I will give you all of those things later. After a little bit, having done all that, there is eventually a sort of soft creak of the door to. Well, actually, no. Terrence leaves for a brief moment, and then he comes back, and following him, we have the sort of slightly disheveled and malnourished because prison, Fredrick. Who is just a human, male, hair's sort of scruffy and all over the place. Wardrobe is
He's spent years in
Yeah.
a cell. He probably looks like a walking rat's nest.
very.
Probably not smells the greatest either.
No, he
So-
does not.
Shall we make this quick?
What?
Of like, here's all the information. We'll take him, and we go.
Oh, right.
Locke isn't saying a word at the moment, by the way.
Yeah. Terrence speaks up and he's, that's right. You had some stuff that you wanted to give to, because you realize that Solum isn't actually with him when Terrence walks in.
Oh, right. Never mind.
Yeah.
So, Terrence is like, yeah, I can sort of escort you back out that way, and you can give the information to Solum that way.
No, we're going to leave now.
Okay, then give the stuff to me, and I'll give it to him later.
Okay, here. Drops the books.
All right. So, okay, all of you are going to the same place then.
Yukiegi.
All right. Those of you who don't know how teleportation circles work, you have to be very quick. And Terrence seems to be making this gesture more to Valzita than anyone else. And he's like, okay, so, and he sets to putting down the runes and other various things. Do you, Cad, do you ever drop in your span of sitting in here for an hour and getting ready to teleport away, do you drop your disguise any?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'd probably taken the hat off, laid it across my lap.
Okay. When it's you yourself, that's, you know, the Loxodon that is you, the anxiousness that Valzita had sort of just calms a bit.
No. Okay.
And then teleportation circle set up, and all of you go in quick succession, running to jump in, and you end up back in Yukiegi.
Right, and as we're getting ready to pop through, I'll take up a position by Frederick's side, and as we're about to go through, I'll lean over and say, "You owe me for this." And
Fredrick is actually silent as well. He's following along and
Okay, just everyone brush.
yeah. So
Better Silver's going last this time.
you were all used to teleporting. At least most of you are used to teleporting. So there's no risk of like everyone dogpiling a specific person.
Right.
What was Locke's mother's name again?
Alessandra.
Alessandra, yes.
Thank you.
So you re-arrive in the library.
I'll go ahead and I'll paste that in the chat just so that you have the spelling.
Thank you. I figured since I'm writing a book of our travels, I totally spelled that wrong. Thank you.
Wait, are you making a recording of what the stupid shit we do?
Well, I figured that if I'm keeping track of a notebook and I have it in my inventory, I should probably jot down what is actually in it. So when I 3 weeks from now forget what it is,
Okay.
It's the
So
it's the
Cal
sa-
doing a
it's a-
chronicle
it's
of
a-
our
Okay.
adventures.
it's a slightly more in character version of the same thing that you guys do with your note pages.
pretty much.
Okay.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's more so it's kind of like a journal type thing.
I remember when y'all got me, I said I wanted to get a bag and throw all my books in it. One of the books was said Journal from Norro, which, if you remember how we came across that, I said, would I have anything from Norro on me?
Right.
And Daniel said yes. Well, I don't know what other MacGuffins are in my bag, but I did say that some of them were empty and some of them I had already been writing in. So I have designated one to be a book, a partially completed book with notes from back when I was in prison, the runes I sketched from Terrence's summoning circle, the runes from Alessandra's. Now that I have their names, I can write them down so I don't forget them. And then all of the information we just got from Nora's book before we handed it over. So now I actually have that. So
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which means that that's kind of cool. That means that if anyone in the party, whether it be Oak or Locke or anybody, if anyone in the party just eventually learns the ability to do teleportation circle, they have their runes from CAD.
Oh,
Mhm.
cool.
I
Nice.
thought it looked interesting, so I copied it down back when we were with Terrence the first time.
And
And then
the runes
in
that
our,
the runes that you would have would be the runes to teleport to the Mage Quarter in Caverton, which was the ones that you got from Terrence, and then the runes to get to Yuki.
Yep. And I had said both times that
Yep.
since we were waiting with
You did.
Terrence, I wanted to sketch it as he was preparing it. And then we had our intermission in Yukiegi before, and I said that I was looking around and didn't want magic-y books, but I jotted down her runes because they were different. So since I said it, I figured I'd write it down so it's a little more official.
Yep. Alright, so you guys are punted back to Yukiegi. You re-arrive in her library, and there is this very tense pause and silence as you have the family reuniting again.
Everyone came through okay?
Valzita stumbles just a tad, but ends up like falling against Cat so that she doesn't fall over. But other than that, everyone came through the portal fine.
Okay.
I'll look over at Fredrick, see how he's holding up, and I just had an alarm clock go off, making it so I couldn't hear any of you. God damn it!
Fredrick is looking around the library, quietly. He's just sort of seems to be collecting his thoughts and just getting an overall feel of what the library looks like.
I'll then look off towards my mother and see how she's holding up. How does she seem to be taking this? Because I imagine she's right there. She's
Oh,
waiting
yeah,
for us
she
to
is.
come through.
Oh, yeah,
She's
this would be a totally new environment for Fredrick, wouldn't it?
mm-hmm.
After years in a cell, hell's yeah.
Because y'all left your hometown, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he
we
probably
left
never knew this house.
Nope, this is a new acquisition. This was like we only started living here like a couple months ago, so this is
Yep.
new. Even Locke isn't used to it yet. Largely because he's on the move so much, but you know.
So Fredrick eventually speaks up, his voice a little scratchy from like not using it and not talking to really anyone.
And probably not getting anywhere near enough water or food.
Yeah. This is a different place from your home before. But a lot of the stuff is the same.
We had to leave Sevenora. Things got complicated.
Wouldn't wager
All sort
you'd
of
be
a-
able to. I wouldn't wager you'd be able to bring me home to Sevenoy, if that was still your home. So
I'll glance over at everyone else, sort of an imploring look, like, can the family get some privacy kind of look on his face.
And I think this is our cue to leave now.
Hat goes on, hat goes off, hat goes on. Okay.
So yeah, you everyone makes their way outside for a bit, except for Locke and his family.
So, fun fact, when I set out most recently for Caberton ways back, I did not anticipate this is how it would wind up concluding.
You wanted to make sure I was released the right way and not busted out.
More or less. Or at the very least, I didn't account for things transpiring the way they did.
What changed, if I may ask?
The situation became time sensitive while we were in the city. I mean, there are two separate faces for, like, each of us now that are known and not liked at all in that city, so when the second set became known and not liked, we had to move fast to get you out of there as long as we were there and had the means. We saw an opportunity and we exploited it. It's pretty much what it amounts to.
Your mother speaks up and she's... So, Fredrick, are you... What do you plan to do now that you're out? Go on one of your adventures again? Or just stay here in one place for a while? Fredrick kind of scratches at the anti-magic collar that he's still wearing, and he's... I'll stay here.
Damn
I'll-
right.
My desire to wander and to find things may start to rear its ugly head again, but I'll try to stay here. That's all I ask. Stick around, at least a little while.
I'll march over and remove the anti-magic collar.
Thanks. Thank
Just
you.
remember, you owe me.
I understand.
You've got a lot to make up for. I'll sort of pocket the anti-magic collar in turn. And, well, now's as good a time as any to start. I'll nod towards my mother. A lot of the things I want to say I already said the first time we met. I think you two need to have a chat.
Yes, we do.
I'll sort of stuff my hands in my pockets and shuffle my way out. I'll leave you to it.
Alright.
And then I'll have Locke head outside to regroup with the others.
Okay. Where did everyone else go? Y'all went to the tavern.
Of course you did.
Yep. I would say Silver did the same.
What about Cad?
I mean, they were just going to, let's see, where... Yeah, I guess we didn't have any plans specifically, so...
You're just kind of hanging out outside with Val?
What time of day is it?
Just at nightfall. So probably 6 or 7 at this point.
Yeah, I guess tavern makes sense. It's starting to get late, so
All right.
Val is following you because she does not know this city, even though it's much smaller.
Right. All right. So I guess I'll have Locke go and link up with the others then.
Yep.
I'll come inside, head up to Cal, and pass him the anti-magic collar. You wanted this? Or Cad, excuse me, not Cal.
Yeah. Yeah. How big or awkward is it to carry? Is it something that I could carry in my bag?
Oh
It
yeah,
matters.
it's definitely something that you can carry in your bag. It's basically it's a lot like a piece of jewelry or a choker collar. It's not that hard to deal with.
About how much does it weigh?
Eh,
As much as a choker collar.
not very, like maybe a pound or two.
Okay.
I mean, it's the size of a choker collar would be, but it is actually made of metal. So it's got some weight to it, but it's not that big. So
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So, and this is Oak speaking up. So now, what's the plan, Locke?
For me? Hell if I know. The big plan that I had that was like over 100 days out just got punted to the right now, so I'm gonna like have him like slump forward in his seat and bury his face in his hands. I am all kinds of unprepared for whatever's gonna happen now.
Well, we very much got Norro's attention, most likely.
Yep.
Yep. And a good chance he knows where we're at.
Probably so, considering he had the what was his name, Rickwick, spying on us there for a time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
he knows where we are.
If he tries anything to my family, I'll rip him to shreds. I just finally got them back together. We got a lot of healing to do. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
So, Mrs. Oak, are we going to? Was there anything interesting that you found in the documentations that you guys copied down? I saw you. He sort of looks to Silver and Cad. I saw you guys sort of copying stuff over before we handed it off to Terrence. Was there anything interesting in there?
I noticed that too. Care to share?
Like a project or something we were gonna work on.
Working on.
Yeah. So
Yeah, sure.
if they want to know, I can regale them with my detailed notes.
Yes, please. If we're dealing with this guy, I want to know everything there is to know about him. He is our enemy.
So the Valana Project and these 4 names of something that sounds like churches or temples, 4 graveyards, everything is not in Caverton, or I would know.
Right.
There's also 15 people who got special treatment in the prison. Your father and I were 2 of them, but that means there were 13 others who are currently possibly incarcerated who had the same treatment.
Yeah, there's
Alright.
one other name that was like involved, slightly involved.
That
An
was
accomplice, perhaps.
That was the 3 who were not sentenced by Norro himself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then also, he keeps very good books for very shady math. Lucas, the warden, was paid very well to cover over all of Norro's dealings.
Makes sense. Valana Project. Can I have Locke look at the list of names of churches and have him see if he knows anything?
Roll religion. Yeah.
Okay, rolling religion. That's a 5.
Nope. Not a thing.
Right.
Based.
So we haven't. None of us heard this name before.
Well, you know the
names of
name.
churches, at least.
The name of the churches is what you're trying to pick up on. Like, it's the concept of, you know how you can have a like Christian faith.
Yeah, I know.
We know the names of the churches, but nothing about them themselves.
I'm asking about just the Volana name.
Yeah, you guys know the name, of course. At least,
Okay, what is it? 'Cause
Locke
I can't remember.
Locke actually has a degree of understanding about Volana herself, doesn't he? Because of
Mhm.
Norro's journal and their interactions.
Yep, the Volana
Yeah,
having something called the Volana Project is definitely something that would strike a chord with Locke, because he would remember that Volana was the name of, apparently, according to his insane ramblings in his journal, Volana was the name of the person that he was doing this all for.
right.
Okay, yes,
so
that doesn't help. Is it the girl or the fucking fairy?
The
it's
girl.
not the fairy. It's not the fairy. Volana is the name of someone Norro was close to long time ago. I don't
Also,
really know.
this was out of character.
Right, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't remember shit.
Volana was the name of someone Norro was close to before he lost his mind, and near as I can tell, something happened years ago, and he lost her, and that loss was too much for him to bear. He was obsessive over her, essentially, and when she died, he spiraled into madness, seemingly gained some warlock-style powers, acquired a patron of his own, not unlike mine, albeit a very different source, and has been trying to find some way to, I guess, bring her back or resurrect her outside of conventional means. The details are foggy, but all I know is that if he has a project named after her and is actively working on it, it doesn't ring to me as a good thing. A necromancer with someone to bring back in the full flesh, soul and all, and a list of churches puts a bad feeling in my gut.
Oak, sort of's been listening to this, and Volana was a Volana was someone that was a part of the village, the Furball village that we were all living in way back when. And she was someone who was talented in magic, just like innately. She didn't have to do any kind of proper training. She didn't have to do any sort of. There wasn't anything in her bloodline. It was just there. No one really knew where it came from, and she just had it, and it led to her being someone who was like honorable and not like notable, well known among everyone else. And Norro was constantly trying to get her to notice him. It was like the
Echo.
yeah. Where's the echo coming from?
No clue.
I don't know
Seems
who.
to be gone.
I don't know who is the source of my echo, but anyway. So Norro was trying to get her attention. Norro pursued magic to try to show that he could be just as powerful as she was. And then it was several years ago. I was kid. I don't really remember all the specifics, but our village was attacked. This was back before we lived in the cave. Our village was attacked by someone. I didn't get a really good look at who or what they looked like, and we had our various hunters and fighters go out to try to deal with it, and those fighters and warriors included Volana, because she was a powerful mage, wizard, sorcerer. I don't know. I don't know enough about the arcane in that regard. But she went out to fight, and next thing I know, the entire forest went up in a blaze, and most of the village was killed, save for the few that escaped to the cave, which included me. And for a time, I thought that Norro was gone. That was up until Norro came to the cave and had the remains of. You see that he's getting to where it's harder for him to.
Right, yeah. So
If he's
that
named
sounds like a lot.
if he's named some sort of project after her, and it's something to do with graveyards and churches. Can I see those churches? That list?
Of course.
Yay, cleric, rolling, religion.
At advantage.
Not well. Actually, yeah, he would get advantage,
Because
just for reasons.
Backstory relevance.
Well then.
Star Wars 1919.
They're both bold.
Because they're exactly the same.
Exactly. Alright, so... These are Bay churches. Wasn't there... And he seems to be sort of racking his brain to try to remember. Some princess of dreams or something. These are temples and shrines to her.
Dahlia.
That's the
That was
one.
the name. Yeah, that. I like Locke's like sort of like shuffling around his own notes. Yeah, I wrote that down when I read the journal. Dahlia, Princess of Dreams. Not a great figure from what I know of her.
No. These are churches to her. Well, I hesitate to call them churches and temples and more cults, but these are...
I like to imagine, like, these two are, like, going back and forth talking about it, and just Silver's just sitting there going, like, slight raised eyebrows, like, going, yeah, totally understand what you're talking about. Just sipping her drink.
I'll give you a synopsis later, but...
A what?
A synopsis.
Summary.
He'll explain it all to Silver in detail later. Right now they're on a roll trying to piece shit together, so...
Okay, so... The patron for Norro, the person who he gets all his warlock powers from, is capable of having her own shrines and churches dedicated to her, and these are 4 of those churches. So...
Do you think maybe... It's hard to tell what he's planning. It's definitely nothing good for us.
Well, he's a necromancer, and he's named it after her. For some reason, something involving these churches is connected to trying to bring her back. I mean, what I know of what I've studied with, like, resurrection spells and reviving magic, you have to have the body and the soul to be able to bring someone back. And you can't... I don't know what the remains of Valana's body would be. So...
If it was fire, then probably ashes. And then the question, of course, becomes, would the soul even want to come back? Because the soul has to be willing for that to work, doesn't it? The person has to be wanting, or at least all right with being brought back to life.
As far as I'm aware.
So it could be that he's trying to bypass that. He doesn't have a body. And given how insane this guy is, I get the feeling he's not willing to take no for an answer. So maybe he's trying to do something to earn enough of Dahlia's power or favor to bypass those steps and just yank her back into the world of the living without her consent or body. Which would be I'm not really an expert on the divine or life or death cycles, but that strikes me as not a good thing.
No,
No.
it's not a good thing.
It's definitely a violation of one's person.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Which one of these churches or graveyards is closest? I think we should scout it out when we get a chance.
Yeah. We should definitely do that. Locke, roll for me wisdom.
Uh-oh. Just straight wisdom?
Just a straight wisdom.
I got no bonuses in that. That's an 8.
You vaguely, it's very, very, like, the details and specifics of it are very, very small. But one of these names to these churches, and the fact that it was essentially a cult, it sort of reminds you back to a rumor that you heard back when you were staying at the town that you were in before you came to Yukiyagi. Back
The
from your
river
backstory,
town,
the river town.
which I believe I have its name written here
Uh,
somewhere.
Think I called it.
Fumak. Or
Yeah,
however the hell you
Fumak.
pronounce that. Fumak, yeah.
Fumak.
So, like, Fumak had rumors of such a cult near their area?
Yep. You vaguely remember that one of these church names, someone had mentioned it when you were hanging out in the tavern in Fumak, but at the time you didn't really commit it to memory because it didn't really matter to you then. But there were talks in and amongst the people in the tavern that Fumak had something degree of something involving that. Perhaps.
Huh. And of course, Locke will remember quite clearly the innkeeper he worked for like several months when he lived
Oh
there.
yeah, definitely.
I never wrote down that guy's name, but
We'll get a name figured out for him specifically.
huh. It occurs to me, thinking about it, I might have actually heard something related to this long before I met any of you, including you, Oak, but I might have heard something about one of these cult locations back when I was living in Fumak for a few months after I left Sevenora. I worked at a local inn and tavern, sweeping things, just trying to, just doing enough work to earn a roof for my head. But outside of that, at one point some people came through, and for a few days there was like whisperings among the clientele about it. And of course, the man I worked for, I'm just gonna call him Gabriel because that seems fitting.
That's a pretty name. I like Gabriel.
Gabriel, he Gabriel is a guy's name, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, of course, Gabriel, a fantastic man. He was the guy I worked for and lived with at the time. He was the innkeeper, tavern keep, the manager of the entire establishment, and nothing went through here that didn't also go through his ears. So there's a chance, slim perhaps, that he might remember something about that, and if so, it's also possible that, given what we know now about this project, that things are ramping up, maybe. So, Oak, do you still have any, Matt, can you cast any more spells today? That long-range communication one specifically.
See. Let me double check his spells. What level is sending? Sending is 3. He only did low level spells throughout the day, so yeah, he still has.
He already did one.
He did
message
one
as
cast
well.
of sending. He has 3. No, he did 2 casts of sending. So Oak is. I have 1 left. What's up? What are you thinking?
I was thinking that you could use that to ask him if there's been any activity like that in recent times, like within the last few weeks or months, if you mention me, of course, by the name Locke, and that you're a friend of mine and that this is something important to us, he'd be more likely to give you an answer. So if anything like that's been happening and he can confirm that for us without us having to trek that distance just for info, then it could save us the risk of wasting time, and we might either rule out a dead end or get a potential lead. Either way, we benefit.
Right. Okay.
You all right with doing that?
Yeah. What's he look like? What's he like?
I'll go ahead and start giving a description as best I can. And I imagine like this Gabriel guy's kind of like a pudgy fellow, like he's like kind of like a bushy brown beard human fellow, kind of tall,
Okay.
friendly, boisterous, and loud. And like he has a voice that definitely has carry. I kind of imagine him giving off the impression of like what would happen if a lumberjack who had a really friendly demeanor kind of let himself go a little bit in terms of like his physical health. Like he's a little overweight, but still got some muscle hidden under all that. And he's just really friendly, boisterous, loud, and just good natured as all hell, but also doesn't take any bullshit in his establishment. You cause trouble, you're out.
So, if you are a fan of Harry Potter, it sort of makes me think Hagrid, but human.
Kinda Hagrid, but not quite as quick to say shit he's not allowed to say.
Right, of course.
I shouldn't have said that.
It's just the way you did that description made me think of Hagrid. Okay. Alright. And so Oak sort of stops for a second and goes through the chant for sending, and then Gabriel, you don't know me, that this is a friend of Locke's. We were wondering if you knew anything about insert name of the 3 names for the different churches.
Right, because we haven't figured that shit out yet. We're
Yeah.
professional D&D players. We promise. We
Yes.
swear. We're good at this game.
Well,
Half my notes have TBD as the name.
it's fine. I'm going to get the specifics. It's fine. I'm good with most of it, and then I just forget all the extra the important details sometimes. Also, I didn't expect you to get a chance to go through the book this session. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit more hectic than it ended up being. But anyway, so he goes through and sends the sending spell, and then after he gets a response, and I like this guy.
Still has his charm, I take it?
He seems rather friendly. He said that he's still been hearing rumors of like there's a cult of some sort. There was one guy that came in to the tavern recently that seemed just either high. He wasn't sure if he was high or just crazy, that was speaking mumblings in a different tongue that he didn't know, as well as common. And yeah, he seems to think that if there's something going on with them, then it would be effective for us to come down there. He also just wants to see you again, apparently.
Yeah, I kind of left without saying a word.
Well, all right
Well,
then.
the way I see, if it's all the same to you, I know this is an urgent matter, but do you mind if we put it off for at least a couple of days, just so I can make sure everything's all right, with my folks?
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's
We don't need to rush back into something else after all the craziness that we've been through recently.
yeah, and I just want to make sure things are going to be all right at home. Having my dad actually around for a change is...
You do realize Norro's going to know that we found out about this project, right? He's going to know those books are missing.
I'm aware, yes,
Yeah.
but please understand, my family is my number one priority. Everything else is secondary. If you all want to go on ahead, go on. I can catch up, but I'm not leaving my family, at least not for a couple days. And I'm not budging on that, I'm sorry.
Oak speaks up and if Norro does do something more proactively against the information that he knows that we have, he is going to... I assume from the way that you're talking that Norro knows where you're staying?
Most
Possible.
likely.
He at least knows the town we're in.
Okay,
We've had that
then...
halfling watching us for quite some time. Ever since we got Cad, at least, so...
Then that's all the better. Because if he is going to do something proactively against us, he is most likely going to send whoever that is, if it's a person, if it's a... I don't know what sort of thing he has access to, but if he's going to do anything about it, he is going to probably come to us. Here.
And it's at least a week of travel, so we have a small window to rest.
If you don't count that he has teleportation.
Right, fair enough.
Well...
Again, if you all want to move on ahead and scout this out yourselves, I won't stand in your way, but...
He knows we're here in this town. What just makes him think that he doesn't have other followers that can just come and easily raise this town?
I'm not sure he's quite that reckless or stupid. He's absolutely insane and deranged. Yes, I've seen
He
it.
sat there and managed to get his way up into the nobility of Yukiei.
Yes, but
Caverton.
that also means he has eyes on him from
Caverton.
all sides. He has to be a bit more careful than that. You can't just go burning down entire villages with hired thugs. That would be way too easy to track. And he knows there's information about him in hands that probably more than just us. He knows that it's probably getting out there now. He has to tread carefully. If he doesn't, there's a very high risk that he'll be found out and all of his plans will be rendered completely and utterly useless. If he acts recklessly, it'll be terrible for us and him.
And what if he does act recklessly? By what you say, he's kind of a little bit insane.
Then
He
he
is
would-
insane, but it seems
he
pretty
would
evident that he's patient, so we can use
He
that to our
would...
advantage.
If he does anything reckless against us specifically, he's going to send somebody here. And I would imagine that it would prove...
Exactly, and we don't know how long that's going to take.
No, we don't. And if we are here, when he sends somebody here, we can protect those in this town.
That too,
Yes,
yeah.
but
One thing that I would point out.
you're just counting if it's one person.
One thing that I would point out is while he's apparently unhinged and doesn't really care what he does, he's not stupid. So as soon as one of his plans would jeopardize his ability to meet his goals, he would probably not do that.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
That's the thing. We just burned him out of a major piece in the town. If somehow the court can actually move towards kicking him out, he's not going to be happy with us, and he is going to send something to deal with us.
Right, but it's probably going to be on a smaller scale. I doubt he'll burn the whole town down or even make an attempt at that. He'll probably send something smaller and more focused. A hired assassin, maybe, and we can deal with something like that.
You keep counting as one person. I'm just saying, what if there's more? More people than we can handle.
Then we're here in town, and the town can... The town has a powerful mage.
Allies.
We have a powerful mage in Alessandro. We have the Warforged and whatever he's capable of. This is Yang speaking. You saw the kind of things that the village was capable of doing when we had to deal with the fire before. The village has means to protect itself. It's reasonable to think that he may send some army, but at the same time, I kind of agree with Locke. I don't know if he's going to go out of his way to completely destroy a village. He might. He could. And what's the alternative? We go out to try to get allies to protect ourselves from that, and he destroys the town while we're gone? I know we want to be proactive against him, but I do think that our best option might actually be to sort of hole up here for a bit and see what happens. If he sends somebody,
we're operating with way too many unknowns as to how he'll react right now. So until we can get a better idea of that, making any assumptions on what he'll try in retaliation is an exercise in foolishness. We wait and see what he does, if anything, and we go from there. And that'll give me time to make sure things are right at home. All right?
So basically, we'll deal with it on the fly?
Isn't that how we've been doing things? We come up with plans
Yes, but...
and immediately fall apart at the seams. And besides, in the past, a lot of our plans have been based on us being on the advance. Right now, we're dealing with us being on the defensive side of things for the moment, and we're not entirely sure how Norro is going to retaliate. Until we have a better idea, it would not be wise to make speculation. Keep our eyes peeled, be vigilant, yes, of course.
Locke, can you or your mother use something similar to Awakened Mind to sense someone's motive or tell if someone is coming here with bad intention?
Unfortunately, my telepathic abilities don't work like that. It doesn't let me sense their thoughts unless they openly want me to hear it. It's a matter of communication. So if they don't want me to hear it, I am not capable. I can't use it to read minds, and I don't know if my mother has any spells like that.
I was just thinking if there was a more advanced form that perhaps she was aware of, maybe someone could keep a vigil over the town.
Possibly. It's worth bringing up.
Yes, and then we gotta be somewhat prepared instead of just sit and wait and do nothing.
Well, I wasn't saying that we would sit and wait and do nothing. We were obviously going to perhaps fortify the town.
That's what Locke's been saying. Is just sitting here. He's dealing with his family and stuff, and I've been sitting here going like, we need to do something. That's what I've been trying to say, is that we need to do something instead of just sit around and wait and see what happens and deal with it on the fly.
Well, what do you propose? No disrespect meant, Silver, but again, we're dealing very much with the unknown right now. It's hard to plan around that.
We could fortify the town, perhaps, says Oak. Although, warning them of the specifics that might happen might send people into a panic, but...
Or it might cause people to stop liking us and want them to drive us out of here, which would only create more problems.
Minecraft reference, yay.
I mean, it'd work.
Alright.
Damn it.
So, I would say, okay. How about this? How about we go speak with, and this is Young again because Oak's not really been here very much. He's been here a little, but not very much.
Excuse me.
How about we go speak to Shield Buff? We let him know of the details of there might be a potential attack on our
potential attack or unscrupulous individuals entering the town with ill intent.
And we could warn the town and be vigilant for the next couple days to make sure that nothing can happen. And then Locke can focus on his family as needed, and that's fine. And the rest of us can focus on making sure that this town is safe. just in case.
Does that sound like a fair compromise to you, Silver?
Yes.
All right. I mean, again, I'm sorry, but my family will always be my number one priority. I can't stress that enough, so. They're some of the only things I have left, all right? Some of the only things I've ever had. Can't turn my back on them, and in times like this, I need to be there with them.
All right.
It's the first time
Yeah.
all three of us have been together in one place. I'd be no
But-
better than my own father if I suddenly bowed out of that at the moment it began.
All right. So we'll deal with that. But considering that it's night, I think we all do deserve a chance to rest a little bit. And then we can greet the day with speaking to the mayor and making sure that the town is safe and getting everything fortified.
Yeah, and I'll let my mother know the same thing, seeing as I have room back at my place. That's where I'll be sleeping. I'll let her know what's going on, the situation, and with any luck, she can help out with the vigilance and whatnot. She has magic and a lot more powerful than mine. Imagine she can help a great deal with that.
Apparently, so does your father. If the collar says anything.
I don't know. I barely know him.
Either way, maybe
Just
one of the
open
two of them could help.
Here's to hoping. All right, I should probably be getting a move on.
All
Locke's
right.
gonna stand up. It's gonna take me a bit to relay the situation to Mom, and well, I imagine there's gonna be a lot of really long and awkward conversations that I need to be a part of. So, best not delay it any longer than necessary, eh?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll take care. And then you know where to find me, and Locke will head out and make his way for his mother's library.
Young sort of just, in that exasperated side and soft but effective headbutt against the table with her as she puts her head down. It's like, and I need a drink.
We've been sitting here for a while.
Yeah, and you've been in tense discussions, and she hasn't gotten another drink. Or actually, no, she says I need another drink because you guys had drinks prior, but you stopped, focusing on getting drinks when the conversations were to be had.
Right.
An answer to your question that was sent to me invisibly is yes.
Okay.
So the barkeep, the mostly human woman, as was described before, this woman is Simic. She has gills. She brings another drink for Yong, and I think that seems like an effective place to end this tense craziness of this session.
I agree.
One thing though, since I did actually have it confirmed, Locke's going to be staying with his family.
For
He
a
doesn't
couple
need to
days,
stay in
but
a tavern.
yeah, my
Do what?
character sleeps in his mother's house because he has a bed there.
Yeah. So he's going to need sleep so he can get through crazy conversations. And I seem to recall earlier in our adventures that Locke enjoyed gorging his face on donuts and sugary things.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he
So-
he likes sugary things.
So, in hearing him slink off and say that he needs sleep because he's going to be part of so many awkward conversations and how bummed he seemed, I'm going to go over to the tavern keeper or whoever's over grub, and I'm going to see if I can order a giant platter of donuts to be delivered to Locke's mother's house.
Sure.
How are we gonna pay for this?
With money.
I mean, how many donuts can I get for a gold?
I only have 3 gold left.
I imagine a donut is very inexpensive. So how many could I get for a whole gold?
You could probably get if you can get a loaf of bread for 2 copper. I would wager you could probably reasonably get a dozen donuts for about the same price.
Okay.
A little more maybe. So maybe 3 copper for a dozen donuts, and then
Okay, that's fair.
That's more
So
reasonable,
how about
yeah.
I pay a silver piece, and have them make 3 dozen and deliver it in the morning?
seems reasonable.
You are too kind, and Locke appreciates it immensely.
Well, you don't know yet, but you will next time.
Oh yeah, he will. There's a reason Locke likes you so much. You're friendly, you're a gentle giant, you give him piggyback rides, and you give him donuts.
Well,
Yep.
I want to keep you safe, even if that's from your own emotions. So, yes.
And of course,
you need sanity and energy to get through whatever you're going to have to deal with.
right, and of course, Cat is still absolutely oblivious to Locke's problems. Are you
Well-
oblivious to Locke's problems?
Not
Kenneth?
not specifically. Locke went over just now some of the elements of what not the specifics, but he said that he was going to be dealing with tense and awkward conversations. So Cad doesn't
that
have
he
to know the
barely knew his
specifics.
dad, and that this is the first time he's really been there. But like all the more specific details, like
Yeah,
the
Cad doesn't need to know all the
Norro,
specifics to know that it's warranted. He just knows from what you've said.
Right.
I like trying to keep in character and out of character separate. Whatever you monologue or soliloquy with your parents, if we're not present, I'm trying not to count that.
Right. But
But just from your tone and context of what you do say around, I know you're extremely upset and you have a lot going on, more than you're sharing, and that's fine.
right. I mean, there's only like one character in the cast who Locke has openly shared the full extent of his backstory with, and she's not even here right now.
Nope.
She's off on some crazy adventure of self-discovery that's going to take 2 fucking years.
If it's been a little bit more than a month, she's face down somewhere dying.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's
Well
depressing
said,
as hell.
Sam. I like that.
Ah, Jesus. All right.
Don't worry. Again, I said it would be 2 years before she comes back, so she lives.
She's gonna be a lich. Oh no. Step
No.
1, I gotta die. Step 2.
Step 2, you gotta die. Step 2, you wake up. Step 3, no.
Oh yeah.
You live forever.
I should totally take opportunity to draw Daniel's attention to the ideas of possible church and graveyard names. Dahlia's Repose, The First Step, Free Vessels, Everdream, and oh no, not again.
Hello there. All right, so we're ending the session here then.
All right.
Yep.
So
who's doing the next time then?
we will do next time will be this. I haven't actually made a structured thing for, so this thing is pretty much random. But the intro is who does the next time is not. We will say the first part. This has been Shadows from Kenneth, and the join us next week, Brian.
This has been Shadows of Gradiriel.
Join us next time when we figure out how we're going to prepare for a potential threat from Norro retaliating against us for our actions, and, depending on how things go, the beginning of our next little mission to start to undermine this Valana project that he has in the works, which will probably take us even more to finer details of Locke's backstory that he has only briefly touched on, with the town of Fumok and people he knows there. That'll be fun.
Yay, backstory shit.